Have you ever prayed with all your heart, followed every teaching, stayed faithful, and yet still felt like something unseen is blocking your blessings? Like you're trapped behind a spiritual wall, watching others walk into their breakthrough while you stay stuck, wondering, God, why not me? If that resonates with you, it's not an accident you're here, because what I'm about to share is not just rare, it was hidden. This prayer is so powerful, so effective, so immediate in the spiritual realm, that it was silenced, censored, banished from pulpits. It was removed because it works. It activates miracles within 24 hours. Yes, 24 hours. This isn't a motivational message or another cute spiritual routine. This is ancient revelation, a forbidden formula embedded in Scripture that directly connects your voice to divine manifestation. It is sacred, and it is dangerous to those who don't want you free. For generations, religious institutions, afraid of people accessing true spiritual authority, filtered and reshaped the message of power into something passive. They told you to wait, to be patient, to pray, and just accept delay as God's will. But what if the delay isn't divine? What if it's demonic? What if the very prayer you were never allowed to pray is the one that opens the gates of heaven over your life? This video is not for the casual Christian. It's for the desperate. It's for those who've cried on their knees, who've screamed into their pillow, who've begged God to speak and received only silence. If that's you, you're in the right place. Because today, you're not going to learn information. You're going to receive revelation, the kind of revelation that unlocks breakthroughs, financial release, emotional healing, supernatural favor, and divine alignment. But you need to stay with me until the very end. Because the timing of what I'm about to reveal is just as important as the words themselves. This prayer is not to be rushed. It is not to be taken lightly. It is a divine code, one that was hidden for centuries, one that, when spoken with pure intent and true faith, shifts the spiritual atmosphere instantly. Before we go deeper, I want you to do something bold, a public act of faith. Right now, in the comments, write, "I'm ready for the miracle in 24H. This is not just interaction for the algorithm. This is spiritual alignment. When you write it, you're not just typing. You're declaring. You're breaking agreement with limitation and stepping into a covenant of acceleration. And while you're here, if you truly believe this is your season, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on all notifications. Not because I need it, but because the algorithm doesn't want this message out. We are bypassing filters and finding those God is calling in this hour. This channel, Prosperidad Biblica, is not for the faint of heart. It is for those who want the truth, who want to walk in power, who want to stop surviving and start living under divine provision and purpose. So take a deep breath, because what you're about to hear next was never meant to reach you, but it is here, and you're ready. They say history is written by the victors. But what happens when the victors were never meant to carry the truth? What if the most powerful weapon of spiritual transformation was hidden, not by accident, but by design? This is the story of a forbidden prayer, a sacred text that once flowed from the lips of a man so close to heaven, the earth could barely contain the miracles that followed his words. Centuries ago, in a time of great religious upheaval, there lived a man of unshakable faith. He wasn't a priest appointed by men, but anointed by God. While others read from scrolls and repeated tradition, he listened to the divine whispers no one else could hear. In one of those moments, a night lit by a single candle in the silence of a stone chamber, he received it. A prayer, not just any prayer, a divine code. Words so filled with heaven's authority, they tore through sickness, poverty, despair. Within 24 hours of praying it, miracles erupted across villages. The blind could see. The lame danced. The hopeless believed again. This wasn't just prayer. This was power. The kind of power no institution could control. But word spread. And when the leaders of the church caught wind of what was happening, they came not to worship, but to silence. They summoned him, demanded he hand over the scroll. And when he refused, saying, "This was not given by man and cannot be taken by man," they condemned it as heresy. They called the prayer dangerous, censored it, burned copies, declared it forbidden, and like that, it vanished from public knowledge, but not from heaven. The man, unnamed in most records, was eventually imprisoned. Yet before he was taken, he hid the scroll in the hollow of an old altar, sealed beneath a slab marked only with a cross. He wept, not for himself, but for the generations who would never know the secret. He cried at the feet of that altar, and as he prayed the words one last time, witnesses said the stone walls shook. The power crossed through space and time, and though they silenced the man, they could never silence what was activated that night. The 24-hour miracle prayer continued to work in secret, passed from one to another, hidden in families who dared to believe in the unexplainable, a biblical prosperity secret too strong to die. Today, fragments of that same prayer have resurfaced. And what's even more extraordinary, when people today speak even parts of it aligned with deep faith, the same results happen. Healing, financial breakthrough, restoration, spiritual clarity. It's not myth. It's been happening quietly, behind closed doors, because the forbidden prayer still works. It always did. If you're still watching and something deep inside you is stirring, that's not emotion. That's confirmation. If you feel in your spirit that there is more, if something inside you knows you were meant to live beyond limitation, then tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I want to see from where God is about to move, because He is. But let's go deeper now, because it's not enough to know this forbidden prayer exists. You need to understand why it works, why miracles are activated not in months, not in weeks, but in just 24 hours. The reason this hidden biblical code was kept from the masses is because it bypasses everything religion says you need. It doesn't require a building. It doesn't require a priest. It doesn't require a platform. All it takes is three forces converging in one moment: faith, activation, and obedience. Faith is the fuel, not blind belief, but that inner conviction that God is still God, even when nothing around you looks like it. Activation is the moment you speak, not just with your mouth, but with your soul. Words spoken from alignment are not just sounds. They are spiritual contracts. And obedience? That's the part that gets overlooked. Obedience is what seals the transaction. When your actions reflect your belief, heaven responds. You can't pray for open doors while walking in circles around the same fear. You can't declare breakthrough and still entertain bondage. There's a moment when your spirit, your words, and your steps align. And when that happens, the 24-hour miracle begins. We've seen it, quietly, across this community. A woman in Detroit prayed this exact sequence and woke up to find a debt erased. A man in Texas testified that after years of job rejection, he prayed it, and within 24 hours received 2 offers, one from a company that hadn't returned his calls in months. A mother in Florida said she felt led to pray it over her son's hospital bed. That night, his fever broke. By morning, the doctors called it unexplainable. But we know it's not unexplainable. It's supernatural. This prayer changes lives. This is a spiritual breakthrough waiting to happen. But here's what most don't understand, and this is key. You can't just repeat words and expect magic. This isn't a spell. It's a code, a divine alignment. It's not found in most books. Less than 1% of believers have even heard of it. That's why so few live in true biblical prosperity, because what was designed to be revealed was hidden, and what was hidden is now being revealed to you. This is not mass-produced spirituality. This is rare, sacred, and reserved for those who are willing to believe beyond what's visible. If you've ever prayed and felt like nothing changed, if you've begged God for a sign and got silence, type "nothing happened" in the comments right now. Because today, you're going to understand why. And more importantly, you're going to shift that reality. Here on this channel, Prosperidade Biblica, we've studied thousands of ancient texts. We've broken down prayers, sequences, postures, frequencies. But this one? This is the prayer that stood out. This is the one that holds the key to miraculous acceleration. You're about to speak words that shift your atmosphere. And when you do, everything starts to respond. Now that you understand the origin and power behind this forbidden prayer, the question is, how do you apply it now? How do you step into this 24H spiritual breakthrough and finally activate a miracle in your life? I want you to walk through this moment with me, not passively, not just as a listener, but as someone ready to shift realities. I have 3 simple but powerful steps, and if you take them with honesty and faith, things around you will begin to respond. The first step is preparation. Before speaking the words, your spirit needs to be aligned. This isn't about religious performance. It's about raw surrender. Find a quiet space, shut out distractions, breathe, still your heart, and say, "God, I give it all to you." Release the pressure you've been holding. Lay down every doubt, every fear, every failure. This prayer isn't for those who pretend to be strong. It's for those who are ready to be real. Real before God. Real before themselves. The breakthrough always begins with honesty. A heart that's open is ground that's ready. Now step 2. Activation. This is where your voice becomes a weapon. I'm going to lead you in a portion of the same prayer that once moved heaven, that shook altars and opened sealed doors. Say it slowly, with intention. Father in heaven, I align myself with your will. I speak against every invisible resistance. I declare open doors, divine favor, supernatural provision, and total peace. I break every delay, and I receive what has been prepared for me. By your power and for your glory, I declare, it is done. Amen. These aren't just poetic lines. They carry authority. When spoken in faith, they echo in the Spirit. Something begins to unlock, not because of the volume of your voice, but because of the surrender of your heart. That's what activates miracle prayer. That's how to pray powerful prayer. You just stepped into a biblical formula hidden for generations. And now, the third step is what I call spiritual freezing. It's the part that feels the quietest, but carries the most power. Once you've prayed, don't rush ahead. Don't look for immediate signs like you're testing God. Instead, trust. Sit in the assurance that it has already begun. Over the next 24 hours, be attentive. Things move when faith is in motion. A conversation shifts. A payment clears. A medical report changes. Sometimes the first sign is peace, clarity, or boldness you didn't have before. But know this. Something is moving. And gratitude is the key that holds the door open. If you're doing this with me now, if your heart is beating differently, I want you to comment, I'm preparing. Let this be your declaration. I'm not just watching a video. I'm stepping into something divine. I read every comment, and I pray over them. Because this isn't about growing a channel. It's about building a people, a family, who know how to access heaven. You're not here by accident. You're being positioned for transformation. And now, you're closer than you've ever been. What we've uncovered today is more than history. It's more than lost manuscripts or ancient secrets. What we unlocked is a doorway, a spiritual key that religion tried to hide, but heaven chose to reveal. To you, we spoke about the hidden code, the forbidden prayer, the truth that was banned, buried, and almost erased. We saw why the church tried to silence it, because it works, because it unlocks, because it activates. Then you walked with me through the exact steps that release its power, not through ritual, but through alignment, through a heart surrendered. And now, here you are, not the same as when you clicked play. Whether you feel it or not, something shifted, because when truth is received in faith, it always produces transformation. And this isn't about temporary change. This is about a spiritual breakthrough, a divine activation, a realignment of your life with the biblical prosperity that was always promised to the children of God, but rarely taught in fullness. You are stepping into a new version of yourself, one that isn't crushed by the past, but is standing in the promise, one that doesn't just believe from afar, but walks in covenant. You're becoming someone who knows how to activate heaven, how to release the power of God over your circumstances. And that makes you dangerous, to darkness, to fear, to anything that once held you down. But listen closely. This video is not a feel-good message. It's not an emotional boost. It's a divine bridge. God doesn't work with empty promises. He works with covenant. That's why you're here. Not by accident, but by divine appointment. There's a reason you watched until this point. Something inside you knew. There's more. There's truth the world didn't show you, power religion couldn't give you, and now, you've tasted it. So now I want to ask something simple, but powerful. If this video touched your heart, even in a single moment, hit the like button now. It tells YouTube to keep spreading this message. But more than that, it's your response of agreement. Then drop a comment with the words, "Miracle in 24 hours received." Type it as your declaration. Let it be written. And if you feel led, tell me your city, your country. I want to pray over every name and location personally. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. This movement is just beginning. We're building a family of truth, faith, and transformation. And the next video is going to blow your mind. The Bible reveals a code that attracts spiritual wealth, and few know about it. Click the bell right now, because when that video drops, you don't want to miss the first second. And while you wait, there's something powerful you can watch right now. How to recognize the signs of God after you pray. It's right here on the side. Watch it after this. It completes what we started today. So I say this, from my heart to yours. May the miracle begin now. May your 24 hours start today. And may you never be the same again. If you've made it this far, you're not just a viewer. You're part of something bigger now. You've stepped through the veil. You've received something that religion tried to bury. And what you do next matters. So before you go, do 3 things. First, hit that like button. Not because I need it, but because it sends a signal to YouTube that this message must be heard. And someone, somewhere, right now, needs this truth. Second, subscribe and turn on all notifications. This channel is just getting started. We are building something sacred here. A movement of people who are done with surface-level faith and ready to walk in divine authority. Third, drop a comment below with the words, "Miracle in 24 YH received." This is your public declaration. This is your moment of faith. I read every single comment, and I pray over them. Yes, I will pray over yours. And finally, don't stop here. The next video is coming. The Bible reveals a code that attracts spiritual wealth, and few know about it. It's the sequel to what you've just unlocked. And I promise you, it's going to take everything deeper. So click on the bell now, because when that video drops, you'll want to be the first to receive it. Until then, go watch this next one. How to recognize the signs of God after you pray. It's on your screen right now. Click it. Watch it. Your journey didn't end here. It just began. And remember, your 24 hours start now.